Hey, we are back. I don't know why OBS keeps disconnecting. Maybe there's too much people on my internet. Because what the hell is going on? Hmm. Interesting. Uh. Yeah, this is. Sound alerts. What's going on? Eh? On. The hell's going? Hmm. Let's see. Uh. Check out a few things before moving on. The fuck? Alright. Let's see, what's the next video we should watch? How not to fuck up. Metalcore is generic trash. The most important subgenre of metal. Let's see. Do we watch this video? 25-year-old thinkers. I already covered mental health on like the two last videos, so we'll skip on that. Burnout, we'll skip on that. Let's see what. Damn, I feel like this is so meta right now. Okay, let's see what Finn has to say. Yeah, fucking advertisements. I'm muting that. Okay, come on, come on. Let's get it. Another ad. Okay, skip.
It's been a little while since we've done a bracket, so I thought it might be fun. I feel like brackets are my second specialty, tier lists obviously being my main specialty, but I feel like
I'm going to be putting a lot of time.
We'll start here on the upper left here.
Okay,
I feel like this is a little bit of an unfair battle, but you know, that's how these brackets work, right? It's like
I mean, they got one of the most common subgenres of metal in there, so let's see how it does.
The way you seed a bracket has a lot to do with the finals, so that's what I did. We've got classic metal versus new metal. When I say classic metal, what I'm talking about is stuff like this.
Oh, dad metal. Or dad rock. Yeah, I mean, there's some classic metal I do fuck with, but I was raised on new metal, so personally, I'm gonna have to go with new metal. Especially with how much influence it has had on the metal bands you see today, like Spiritbox and other bands. I mean, System of a Down has had so much influence, and that was my gateway band into metal. So I can imagine it being the same way for others too.
When I was like 5 years old, I thought this was funny. With all due respect, it's so corny. Yeah, I agree with that too. Now I picked.
Yeah, classic metal does tend to be corny a bit. I don't know if I'm gonna get in trouble for showing this kind of music, but if Finn is like live streaming this music, I guess I won't get in trouble too. So let's see.
Judas Priest because I like him, but you know, this stuff really it's not good. However, remember, we're not just talking about what is good. We're talking about what's important. You gotta say, you know.
Okay.
Classic metal, even though it probably doesn't really hold up, is it important? I would say yes, it is, because, you know, this really is sort of the foundation for everything that everyone else did. To me,
yeah, he's absolutely 100% right there. Classic metal was the foundation of all the metal you kind of see today, and its evolution is what you see today, or it's because of what the bands you see today. But yeah, on a typical day, I absolutely do not listen to classical metal. For most people, it's just very outdated, except for boomers and I guess Gen X, and then some millennials. Because I remember when I was in high school, people would listen to some classic metal, but that was specifically for the metalheads.
like metal started getting good in the 80s, and if you listen to any of them, of course they're all going to tell you they grew up on Judas Priest and Black Sabbath and all that kind of stuff. So even though I'd say it doesn't hold up, I would say it's pretty important, especially compared to its rival here, which is new metal. Now this is a tough one because although classic metal is for sure the foundation of everything that has been done since then. You know, if you listen to bands after, say, you know, the 80s, I feel like more people now would name, you know, Korn, Slipknot, Linkin Park as influences even more than Black Sabbath. Like, if you listen to interviews,
I 100% agree. If you go on TikTok right now, you will see a lot of Korn memes, Linkin Park memes, Bring Me the Horizon. Well, Bring Me the Horizon is not new metal. You'll see System of a Down memes. Absolutely, new metal has definitely had one of the biggest influences on metal today.
with modern metal bands, you know, not too many of them are mentioning Black Sabbath or Judas Priest or, you know, Motorhead or anything like that. So I think it's genuinely difficult. This is true too. Classic metal feels closer to rock than metal now. I think that's
Exactly, that's why I said dad rock.
true too. New metal has had a bigger impact on newer artists and artists outside the genre of metal.
100%.
I think that's probably true. So it's a really tough one, but I think I am, in this case, going to go with new metal as the winner of this bracket.
Yes, yes, new metal for the win. Oh my god, yes, it has. And if you're talking about the music we have today of 2024, I would say that new metal has had the most influence.
So they advance
Sorry for being a broken record.
from the quarterfinals to the semifinals. Next up, we've got
Alright, so if you look at this graph right here, I would say that the final two is going to be new metal and progressive metal. Because, yes, you have death metal, but those are specifically for... It's more known in the subgenre... What am I saying? Death metal is very, very niche. I mean, yeah, there are bands out there that had some commercial success, but new metal has definitely had more success than death metal commercially. Power metal, that's like metal you hear in some like old video games or some newer video games like what was it? Rock Band or Guitar Hero. You'll have some power metal. But yeah, I don't hear or see too many power metal bands today that have, you know, the commercial success we see that new metal has had, or what modern metal has had. I'm sure there are successful power metal bands out there. They're just not as popular as the other genres we have today.
power metal versus death metal. Now, obviously, I think we know
Death metal will win this case, without a doubt.
who's going to win this one. This matchup is a little bit unfair. This is a sacrificial lamb. Yeah, it's a little bit of a squash match. When the UFC's got one of these hot new prospects like Bo Nickel or something like that, yeah, when they feed a journeyman who's 12 and 15 to a prospect, that's right. You got Bo Nickel on the one hand, that obviously they want him to be the next big thing in the UFC, and like, oh, let's give him this 39-year-old that's like on a 3-fight losing streak. Let's give him to Bo Nickel. I feel like that's what's going on here with, power metal versus death metal. I think we know who's going to win this one. But
Wait, I changed my mind. If we're talking about video games, then yeah, power metal has had more success because of, Dragon Force being in Guitar Hero. But overall, now I don't know. Now I don't know. So let's see what he has to say.
just to give power metal a fair shot, not good. Yeah, not good. But now we got to admire their CG. Yeah, power metal, aka the pride of Europe. Listen, there's probably a lot of people in Europe right now telling me in the comments right now how important and influential power metal is. I'm sure that's true. In Dragon Force, to be fair, Dragon Force is, I would say, a somewhat influential band, because they were in Guitar Hero and probably got a lot of people to play guitar. So listen, let's give power metal credit where it's due, but really it's not a fair match because, especially when we're talking about comparing it to death metal, to me, like, death metal is such a foundational thing. It's like the essence.
Yeah, that's how we got grindcore in the first place. So, God, I keep switching back and forth. So I'm thinking death metal might win this one.
There's so many things that we take for granted now in metal. Classic death metal, I would say, holds up incredibly well. Like, you go back to this, which is, this is from 1993, I think, right? 92 or 93? I think this holds up incredibly well.
Huh. Okay.
What a cool video, too. This is like what every hardcore band tries to sound like now.
Really? Oh.
What a fucking drummer, man. Love Donald Tardy. Very underrated drummer.
Are we still in power metal? What the hell? Oh, it's that long. Jesus Christ. Hang on. Come on, finish playing. Okay.
And of course, you know, you listen to Suffocation, like, listen to this shit to the 90s here. That grindcore, they've got potential. So I would say that, you know, in terms of influence, it's never sold a lot of albums by any means, but death metal has always been extremely influential. So I would say it's a pretty easy one here. In the totally unfair squash match of death metal versus...
Okay, so my initial choice was death metal, so I guess my instincts were right.
Power metal. Death metal obviously advances to the semifinals right here. Okay, next up, we'll go down here on the bottom right here. We've got grindcore versus prog metal here.
Oh, that's such a hard one because there are so many grindcore bands, but there are also a lot of bands out there that have been influenced by progressive metal. I mean, you got bands like Periphery, you know, they're one of the most well-known. And then you got Dream Theater. And then grindcore. I'm, like, familiar with those things, so, damn, it's hard. It's hard. But if we're thinking about thrash versus black metal, absolutely thrash has had a stronghold during the 80s. Black metal is still like a niche of a niche.
Now you might say, wait a minute, grindcore, they've got a core there. That's not real metal. You said there were no cores allowed.
Grindcore's not real metal. Oh my god, shut up. No one fucking cares. Except for gatekeeping metalheads. Or, I don't know. People who are in their basements too much, man.
But grindcore is an interesting one because there's kind of two versions of grindcore. There's the punk version of grindcore and there's the death metal-y version of grindcore. And I'm talking about the death metal-y version of grindcore here. So all you grindcore nerds here that think that I don't know my shit when it comes to grind, this kind of shit, this would be like the death metal-y kind of grind.
Yeah. That definitely sounds more of death metal.
I do love that snare sound.
Type of grindcore. Okay, let's get
I'll
to
say
the point.
Opeth, maybe. They were like 21 or something like that. Not Dream Theater, unless you want to include Tool. Bedroom, interesting. So as far as like what's but extremely influential. This one's a pretty easy one to call. Grindcore not only sucks, but also not very important. Only basement-dwelling weirdos that collect VHS porn like grindcore. So in this one, it's easy. Prog advances to the quarterfinals, and our last matchup of the quarterfinals here.
Yeah, it definitely had to be progressive metal, because a lot of bands have been influenced by progressive metal. I mean, you can hear it if you listen to the bands today.
Possibly a tough one here is thrash versus black metal.
No,
now, the reason why I say that this one might be kind of tough, you might instantly think, oh, well, obviously it's thrash metal because Metallica, the Big Four, Megadeth, everyone's still talking about them. And certainly, I think you've got a good point there. That's true. Black metal has never been very influential in terms of its sound.
It hasn't.
However, I do.
Black metal sounds like shit, man. I remember going through Facebook one day and one of my friends said that black metal sounds like a squirrel. Oh, wait, let me say it again. I had a friend on Facebook saying that black metal, the vocals at least, sounds like a squirrel getting its nuts crushed or squeezed. And I completely agree with that. And then again, you have the whole church burning, which is like the stereotypical metal out there. But at the same time, I don't see too many people talking about black metal, and if they do, you know, it's the people who are in those niche of a niche type of things.
Do you think black metal has been very influential as its aesthetic? You've seen the black metal aesthetic used in everything from, you know, KFC commercials, and there's the Lords of Chaos movie and all that stuff. Behemoth.
If you're talking about the face paint, then probably, yeah.
Was fucking massive. Well, not really. Not really. I mean, Behemoth was like an okay sized band in Europe, but not actually that big of a band. Certainly not compared to like, Megadeth or Metallica. I think the answer here is pretty obviously thrash metal.
Yep.
Because
Fuck yeah, thrash metal.
it's thrash, but I would say black metal is probably more influential than people give it credit for, because like even like normies who don't know or care about metal at all understand things like corpse paint and like black metal logos and stuff like that.
I don't know if normies actually know what black metal is. I mean, you could mention a black metal band to someone who does not listen to metal, and they'll have no idea who you're talking about. So I don't know if I fully agree with this sentiment.
So I think that's kind of interesting how
Unless he's talking about like the normies in metal, then probably.
influential black metal has become, even though it's not actually popular. The answer here obviously is thrash metal for two reasons. Number one, thrash has also been very influential in terms of aesthetics. Like if you remember a couple years ago, H&M got in trouble because they made a bunch of merch of like fake metal bands and stuff like that. The thrash aesthetic has been co-opted quite a bit too, I think. For example, what's the kid's name? Eddie on Stranger Things. With the James Hetfield circa 1984 kind of look. Yeah, black metal loses but beats the spread. That's right. The answer here, I think, obviously is thrash metal. But let's give black metal some credit for doing better than anybody maybe thought it would. So that brings us to the semifinals.
Ooh, my favorite part. Yeah, my guess is it's new metal versus progressive metal, without a doubt. It's gotta be. I mean, like, yeah, if we're talking about 2024, I mean, like, yeah, thrash has been successful in the 80s, and, I don't know if it was successful in the early 2000s, but if we're thinking about things now, yeah, I would say new metal and progressive metal will be the final two if we're talking about the world of today.
We've got classic metal, power metal, black metal, and grind knocked out of the bracket. Now it is time for the semifinals where things get interesting. So I'm going to start over on the left-hand side here of the bracket, where we have new metal versus death.
New metal is absolutely going to win without a doubt. I mean, you already had, bands from Sick New World. There are a lot of new metal bands out there.
Metal. And this is a tough one. Again, which is the most important genre of metal? In a lot of ways, I think you could say that we wouldn't have new metal without death metal, because even though I don't think that new metal was necessarily directly influenced by death metal, I think maybe indirectly they were. For example, like the 7-string guitars and the down tuning and stuff like that. Death metal sort of opened the door for all that kind of stuff. In a lot of ways, death metal is the foundation of almost everything that we do. Yeah, you hear it in Slipknot, you hear it in all the deathcore and stuff now. All these like really down tuned, chuggy kind of riffs, I would say, have their origin in death metal. So I want to say death metal. However, at the same time, you can't really deny the impact and influence of new metal. As influential and as important as death metal is,
like I said, just look at all the Korn memes that you see on TikTok today.
I think new metal probably has it beat, obviously in terms of commercial popularity, but not just that. I think in terms of like the aesthetic, there are certainly kids that also look like vintage 1989 death metal kids, but I think the aesthetic of new metal has a kind of impact and influence that's like even bigger than death metal, reaching all the way into like pop and hip hop and rap and stuff like that. Like Playboi Carti is like very new metal influenced, for example. And so there's like 17-year-old kids out there who are like Playboi Carti stans, that dress like they could have been in the video set for an orgy song in 1999. I think that as much as I want death metal to win, I think new metal is the answer. I think.
Exactly.
Sadly, as much as I want it to win, I think sadly that's the answer. So we got to go with new metal. So
it's not sad that new metal wins. It's a good thing.
Oh, we've got new metal here on one side of the bracket. On the other side, we've got
now thrash versus progressive. That's hard. But let's say if we were in the 80s, yeah, thrash would absolutely win. But today, I would say progressive metal wins without a doubt.
thrash metal versus prog metal. And again, I think this is a pretty easy choice to make here. You know, as influential as prog has been, I think this is another case of like the thrash versus black metal kind of thing where, you know, the winner has to be thrash metal, but I think it beats the spread. Thrash is certainly the winner, but prog metal, you know, did better than we thought it would, given that, I mean, think about this. Like with thrash metal, you're going up against the big four. You're going up against Metallica, Megadeth, Anthrax, and Slayer, which is, you know, just absolute juggernauts. Like literally the most popular metal band of all time.
Yeah, but they were popular in the 80s, so it's 2024 right now. It's about 40 years already.
Yeah, I agree with this. Prog was more influential to musicians. Thrash was more influential to the culture. I agree with that. So clearly, like, prog doesn't stand a chance against thrash, but let's give it some credit for punching above its weight. Because remember, we're talking about bands like Meshuggah, Cynic, Periphery, you know, that realistically are tiny bands. Like, I don't think any of those bands has ever headlined a show to maybe more than 1,500 people or 2,000 people. Meanwhile, you know, Metallica is playing stadiums. The fact that it's even like slightly debatable, or the fact that like prog even made it this far. This is like when Randy Couture fought for the heavyweight championship at 48 years old. You know, nobody really thought he was going to win, but the fact that he even made it to the ring at that age was pretty impressive. So I think it's pretty obvious here that we've got to give the W to thrash. But I want to give some flowers to prog for making it this far. So that brings us to our final matchup here. Nu metal versus...
I am going to say, okay, so I was wrong about thrash versus prog. But I'm not going to lie, that was a hard choice. So who would win, nu metal or thrash metal? I'm going to go... I like both of them, but I might have... I think it's going to go to nu metal. Despite what people might say, you know, there are people out there who did not like nu metal, but just think of the bands you hear today. I mean, nu metal has to be the biggest contender. It has to be. It has to be.
Versus thrash metal. And I think this is genuinely a tough one because, you know, basically what we're talking about here is Metallica and Megadeth, Anthrax and Slayer versus Korn, Limp Bizkit, Slipknot, and you know, probably System of a Down or something like that.
And all of those bands have had huge commercial success, so this is a tough one. It is a really a tough one. I don't know the I don't know the statistics of who made more money or who sold out more seats, but this one is going to be a hard, but my instinct is telling me nu metal is going to win, so let's see if I am right.
Like that. And it's a genuinely tough one. It's true. Metallica collapsed the USSR. It is true. Thrash, I think. I think thrash metal does win this one because for sure we wouldn't have nu metal without thrash metal. You know, you talk to any of those guys in any of those bands, you know, Wes Borland and the guys from Korn and stuff like that, they would all tell you that Metallica was like a foundational band for them as they were coming up. You know, like when we saw MTV did that thing when all the nu metal bands were covering Metallica, for example. So I think we got to go with that. And as popular as Limp Bizkit and Korn and Linkin Park were, you know, Metallica still just dwarfs absolutely everything, right? I mean, like Metallica is one of the biggest artists of all time in any genre, no question. I'd say,
yeah, it's all marketing. That's really what it is.
Nu metal because
and it's the word metal in their name, so it's, if you think of metal, most people will think Metallica if they're outside the metal space. So it's just an easy name to memorize.
Young generation are still making nu metal and evolutions of the genre. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. You know, it's not an easy decision to make, but I'm going to say that overall, our winner is thrash metal, I think. So there it is, people. There it is. That's my final verdict in our bracket of the most important genre of all time in metal. We're going to thrash. That's my verdict, but it's a close one. It's a buzzer beater. That's true. The real answer is both. We did it again. Metallica, Swizz Beatz, and Ja Rule. It's true. The greatest song of all time. Yeah, before we go, let's listen to that masterpiece. Let's just remind ourselves of the masterpiece.
Well, hmm. Excuse me. Damn. Alright, so I ended up being wrong at the end. But that was a tough one. So, moving on. Let's see. Okay, so instead of pre-planning things, let's have something more fun. Let's see, what can we watch immediately on my feed? No, what's interesting? Excuse me. Confidence is uncomfortable. The bizarre shame of posting on social. What? Bizarre shame of posting on social media. What are they talking about? Eh? 30-year-old without purpose. I don't relate to that. This app is honestly scary. Oh, Suno. Have you seen the videos of Suno? I want to. It's an amazing but scary AI, but I'm not gonna cover it or use it in this case because we are. Well, it's 1 hour and 40 minutes long. Who knows? Maybe I should do a stream with Suno AI sometime. Maybe I'll do that. Let's see. Why I'm not a successful artist. Man, that just seems too depressing to watch, man. I don't know if I want to watch that. But then again, your success online doesn't always equate to real life success. I mean, those are two different mediums. Maybe she didn't monetize her success. I don't know, but I can imagine this being true for a lot of people, especially influencers. Yeah, there are definitely times where you look at an influencer, say Instagram, they got 100K followers, but at the same time, that did not equate to a sales, whether they're selling a certain product or service. And it has happened many times, which is why so many companies right now aren't reaching out for sponsorships because they're kind of rethinking about why they're having influencers make content about their products or services, especially with how the economy is right now. A lot of companies are actually broke, but at the same time, there are also companies out there that are greedy. So it's kind of hard to say. Let's see. The bizarre lore of Deadmau5. What should I watch? What should I watch? Why this Mexican genre is growing as fast as K-pop. What genre is that? Reggaeton? But it's all string instruments. Doesn't seem that interesting. Shocking rise of Teen Titans, bro. That is my childhood. Oh my god. Oh, it's 4 hours long. Nope, not watching that. Not watching that. Let's see. What to watch? East Asian solution to loneliness. I guess that's streaming? Hot women streaming? 42 minutes. God damn. Videos are long. East Asian solution to loneliness. I already know the answer to that. Remote band. Personal growth. How to sell digital products. Love and sex in Japan. I'm already familiar with that. How to start a small business. Not really interested. What is this? What to watch? Oh, happiness expert. I shouldn't have watched too many mental health videos. Now I'm getting all this depressing stuff. What you don't see. Room reviews. Do things. How to not sell your soul to the internet. Eh. These people really, really hate me. A regular guy, not regular. My bad. Let's see. Back at Alphaland. Once. About. Explains orgasm. What's the point in dating? I mean, I don't really struggle with dating, so. 2 weeks on the Philippines with a budget. How to stop being so clingy. I don't struggle with that. Slipknot. Strange history of Papa Roach. I'm not really interested in Papa Roach. I want